There we go, you lovely mutants. Hello, it's Joel Clark, lead author of Lone Wolf Fist, etc., etc. I'm trying to get more regular about these Patreon updates. So, yes. we completed the GM chapter last month. And by we, I mean I. I guess nobody else was working on it, really. I also got to do a couple of playtest games, so that was interesting. Kind of like pick up one-shot thingies. And I noted a few things about the playtest games. First of all, it's not intuitive which modifiers are stacking together or how people like build sets or anything. So I'm thinking flowcharts might be a good move, and just putting all the little numbers in little boxes, like those little those little things that wind up increasing usability. Probably a really good idea. I'm going to approach Vic with something once I get a little bit further into the writing, or maybe now. We're actually at a really good break in the writing. Now we have the core rules, all the character creation and advancement info, and now we have the GM chapter. So technically now you can play Lone Wolf Fist if you've access to all that stuff. Everything should be updated, and you should be able to run the most accurate and complete version of this game I've ever written. I'm very proud of this achievement. Okay, so there's that. So at this impasse, I still have 4 chapters remaining. I've got Domains, which is technically the next one sequentially, and I might move it a little bit later, but I kind of like it in the next one because it's a good little wedge to put in there for high-level players, and it's also a good thing for book-ending campaign arcs. So you can end them out with a generation of the next arc's plot, which I think is neat. Or not plot exactly, but events that are going to happen. I wouldn't call this scripted. As you guys know, I'm not really a huge fan of that kind of game running. So, Domains is the next one sequentially. After that one, let me see. In no particular order, I have the Bestiary, the Armory, and the Lores. I would like to do Lores after Domains, and then Bestiary, and then Armory. Or I might do it Armory, then Bestiary. I feel like Armory is a little more player-facing because it's going to have, like, things the players can have, like vehicles and what have you. Magic items, that sort of thing. And then the Bestiary is a little more GM-facing. I don't really feel like... I never like it whenever players go and learn all the stats for the monsters. I like the monsters to have surprises. It's part of the fun of fighting. Certain ones especially, it's part of the fun of fighting. Like, I learned recently, like this week, that vinegar dissolves certain gelatinous cubes. I didn't know that. Never even thought to try it. But how interesting would that have been if I'd learned that in a game? You know, just like I had like some rations and I was throwing everything I could at a monster and then it suddenly starts dissolving and it's like, really? Huh. Yep, humble vinegar. So, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. That's insane. Why would vinegar... Anyway, whatever. But it's neat, and I like those puzzle elements of monsters. And that's probably been something that's been part of role-playing for as long as there's been gelatinous cubes. Just learned it last week, totally fresh to me. That's how little I read the old-school monster manual stuff. Go figure. I never really liked cubes. Anyway, let's see what else on my little list here. I pat myself on back for doing GM chapter. Yeah, check on that one. Let me see. Doing the little writing pause. Okay, so I'm doing a little pause, a little mini pause in the writing because I've been hammering at it pretty hard, and having a little break to refresh your brain's really useful with this. And I actually put it to a poll about which of those next chapters I should tackle next because I've got a bunch of ideas for them, and obviously I already have something that's kind of workable, like some skeleton that's workable and functions, but I like to flesh it out and integrate it. And when I do that, I find I sometimes go back into earlier chapters and tweak them a little bit so it all plays nice. But there are 4 options. The 4 I just listed, and the 2 that have come out in front as being equal are the Domains chapter, which makes sense, it's sequential, and it's a chunk of the sequence, and domain play is cool. And then the Armory is the next one. Like, you guys really want some tanks, so those are up next, I suppose, unless the majority of votes just swing another way. But there you go. So go vote, cast your vote. I'm probably just going to let this pause last for a week. Maybe 2 weeks, probably just a week. Then I'll pop back into it. So call it an unofficial deadline. After that one, Bestiary is the next one. Monsters are cool. I'd like to do Armory then Bestiary next because they're going to be fun to write. And bringing up the rear is Lores, although it still has a pretty good amount of votes overall. So I'm not a bad sequence, honestly. Not bad at all. Um, so that's where that is. Let's see. Oh, the next point. My backers are better than me. I actually just wrote that down right there. See, my backers are better than me. All right, so I was working on a backer style with one of my I think it was an Armageddon Ming Chao? No, it was a like post-apocalypse Sifu. All right, so I was working on one of the high-level backers a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was really, really happy with how much more creative and visionary they were than me. This is the second time out of two styles I've been working on so far. No, third time out of three styles I've worked on so far that I have been blown away by the creativity and vision of the backers. They're really adding like significantly cool content to the game that I wouldn't have thought of in a million years. So that was really cool. Today, actually, at work, I got inspired. I was remembering some visual inspiration for Lone Wolf Fist that I never really codified anywhere into the rules, and I was like, I bet I can make a style out of this. Do like a kind of a screamy chaos god sort of style. And lo and behold, I wound up writing down like 75-80% of the style, and it got me in mind of like just kind of thinking about the process that has emerged as I've made more and more of these, and as theory has met practice, and I think I might blog about it. I think I might do a blog post. My writing time is really curtailed recently, so I've not been as productive as I'd like to be. But if I can squeeze out a couple hours to make a blog post, I definitely want to do a here is how I design a style. Also, here's another style for the game. Additionally, now that the GM chapter is done, we have kind of a bare bones version of Lone Wolf Fist completely ready for market. So I'm honestly considering doing like a stripped down. I was going to call it like the bare knuckle brawl version or something like that, and just doing a really quick layout with the art that we have. Like maybe do a little light editing before I actually let the tech editor devour it, and just unifying it and laying it out and just putting that up for sale as like a little thin version of the game, with a nice print on demand option for like a soft cover. Ugh, excuse me. I'm not certain about doing that yet. It's a sore temptation though, and it wouldn't be a bad way to like charge people like a smaller admission fee, like somewhere in the neighborhood of $24-25, I guess. $24.99 is one of those sexy price points. I don't want to charge people too much for it for a hardback, but like yeah, just charge people like a lower amount and say like, look, if this is all you want from the game, there it is. Like whatever judgment you have is fine. The full version will be out once I've got the rest of this writing done. I've already done that a few times. Like every time I have enough that I feel like I can release it, I usually release it as a free download. In this case, this was a professional job. I got paid to write this, and I would want to, of course, I want to send a copy to all the backers first. It's free of charge, so they can get it, because I feel like you guys are entitled to it. But I wouldn't mind generating some more money for this project. This is going forward and getting a little bit more reputation. It's a really good game, as you guys know. If you've been playing, I've had a few people that have actually gone on the forums and Q&A'd and asked questions that clearly arose from them trying to run this game. That's great. Makes me very happy. 'Cause I love when people play my game. I love whenever I get to play it. The two tests I mentioned went reasonably well. I did note, in addition to some of the less intuitive chunks of the system, that tanks were a little easy to take over if you could psychically control stuff. So I was trying to think of ways to maybe less charitably interpret the I can psionically seize control of your war machine rules. That seems a little no-brainery to me. It's an observation. Mostly because every single game has followed the kind of predictable script of let's get one of these tanks and shoot the boss with it. So I would like to report that that guy is able to survive the tank round, and then he rapidly gets killed by the party in the ensuing 2 rounds or so. I rarely have that battle go past the first round, which is a shame, because, man, that guy kicks ass past the first round. He's actually really mean. The last playtest I did, they did not shoot him with a tank as the opening salvo. And I gotta tell you, that makes him really hard to beat, because he's got a lot of health and a lot of aura and a really big effort pool, and he doesn't start out with a ton of prana, but he gets a lot real fast because of how the game works. So he could start really laying the smackdown into the party if he gets to survive a whole round with the majority of his health levels intact. So, all interesting info. It does reinforce my belief that I need to curb the upward power limit of Blood from God's Eye. It's a little bit crazy. Also, I've not gotten a lot of play reports from Blood from God's Eye later on. I think people get to the point where, because it's missing some chunks. It's missing its encounter system and a few other things. And I think people get a little bit later on, like past session 1 or 2, and the kind of romance wears off and they can't really play it. And I've not heard much about those players, and that worries me. There's this infamous diagram of like the underside of a plane with all these bullet holes in it that people use to demonstrate this point that at one point this was like a diagram we were looking at, and they drew the wrong conclusion that they should armor all the sections with bullet holes. But then some mega genius pointed out that the heat map that they were doing of those bullet holes were from planes that had returned without crashing, and so any of the places that there weren't bullet holes were probably the vital areas that should be extra armored. That's smart thinking, but that's revelatory, because sometimes you just don't get info and that's telling you something. So I'm interested if people are completing this game and not talking about it anywhere, because I'm not seeing it online, I'm not seeing it on my Discord. If they lose enough interest that they feel like it's a waste of time to come back and ask questions about it, I don't know if they're completing the game and moving on to the next game. Maybe they just are serial game players and they no longer have any need for me, and so they just kind of swan off. I don't know. That missing variable is a little concerning. I've not really had a chance to run a consistent like back-to-back set of games very often. I've done about three of those in the more modern version of the rules, and it works reasonably well. A lot of times with those, I find stuff I need to fix in the higher echelons power, though, and I'm wondering if it's just a little bit too convoluted and weird as it keeps going on. I don't know. You have to find out. But yeah, so let's see. I think that's everything. Tech editor, streamliner, backers are better than me. With the poll, yeah, reasonably short video this time. Things are going along nicely. It's a nice change of pace. The core mechanics of the game are done. That feels good. So it's basically just content and like I guess domains is the only thing that's really missing from the book now for the last of the process. Man, that's a good feeling. It feels really nice. I don't really have rules for items, I guess. Do you need them? I mean, like, do I need, like, an equipment list? I should probably put that in the armory, huh? Yeah, that seems smart. I'll put it in the armory. That seems a little cleaner. All right, cool. That's that. Go vote in the poll. It's on the Discord and the backers and patrons forum. I pinned it, so it should be easy to find, unless I've pinned a bunch of stuff and forgotten about it there, which I may have. I'll double check. So yeah, just vote for your favorite one. We'll see which one wins here in a week or two, and I'll start writing it. It'll be fun. Oh, and I have more art, by the way, from Kazuki, and I'm getting a little bit more from some of our other artists, too. So I'll have some more stuff to show you on the Patreon this month. Look forward to that, backers. I'm rambling now. Anyway, that was under 50 minutes. I'm pretty proud about that. I will get back to writing. I'll see you fine folks later.